Sometimes I can hear myself drink on the podcast.
ASMR.
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Good enough.
Welcome to The Peaceful Truth, the podcast where we talk about feminism, feminist issues, and everything in between. Today, we will be tackling a really big topic that's very relevant in today's world, which is sexism in the workplace.
Yes, we are. So I think, what are we going to kick it off with? And we'll just see how it goes. This might be a very long episode, or we might split it into two, and we're doing it on the fly, so we'll see.
Yeah, so we're for sure going to talk about the pay gap. That's going to be the first issue that we talk about. And then we're also going to go into other things in the workplace, such as how men and women communicate together, maybe verbally, over email, and just other things that happen in the workplace that we may not even consider.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess, should I kick it off with the pay gap?
First, let's talk about our weeks and about Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, yeah. Hurricane Harvey, devastating. I'm sure we don't have to tell anyone about how traumatic that's been.
Yep, and it's our home state.
Right. It's been really sad, like watching. It's just horrific. And even a lot of our sorority sisters from college, I like see their homes like completely destroyed.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people that live in Houston because we went to Texas A&M, which is Houston is the next biggest city to A&M. And
right.
So we know a lot of people of Houston, and we're just thinking about you guys, praying for you guys, sending positive energy over there to Houston. And there's a couple of things that if you have a little bit of extra cash just laying around. So what I found really that I donated myself was to Austin Pets Alive. And because Austin is going in and getting animals out of the heavily affected areas. And so they obviously need money to help support all these extra dogs and cats that they're getting. And then also people are running out of underwear because you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You don't think
true.
about underwear. And so
you would if you were going through it.
Yeah. And so there's a wish list on Amazon. I think it's called Undies for Houston or something like that. If you Google it, I'm sure it'll pop up. But there's an Amazon wish list where you can send the underwear directly to Houston.
Okay, great. Yeah. I was listening actually to another podcast, Pod Save America, I think it was. And they are like former people who were on the White House staff of President Obama. And they just talk about different things, and they were part of the task relief for like a bunch of different disasters. So they were like giving advice about how to give, and they said, although American Red Cross has like some stereotypes to it, it's good to initially donate to them and then find the longer term things and do your research about more long term down the road what else to donate to in the future, because although the cameras go away, the incidents and the damage definitely will not. So then you do your research on those other organizations that you can give to. And yeah, so I donated to the Red Cross, and I also donated to boutiques randomly. They're just like small businesses, and a lot of the boutiques were flooded out. And one of my friends has a lot of good friends that are in the boutique business, so I bought a shirt that like is like Texas, Home Sweet Texas, and it's supporting like all the boutiques down there. So yeah.
Anything you can do to help?
Anything. So we're thinking about you. We love you. We pray for you, Texas. You'll always be our home.
Another thing that I read was that it's projected to cost more to clean up than Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, it's like as much as Hurricane Katrina and Sandy combined.
In cost? How much is it in cost?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's insane.
So just think about them in the long run, because they do say that, you know, we're all thinking about it right now, but what's going to happen is there's going to be other news that comes up, and then we're going to stop thinking about Houston, but the devastation is still going to be there.
Definitely. So maybe we'll keep bringing it up. Maybe every podcast we should for like a year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. So what did we do this week?
Oh, girl, my week was dragging by at work. Let me tell you, it was a drag.
You were on fire on our Instagram, though.
I was.
You were really good. Chelsea was like, you need to step up your game. Megan's like hauling this. And I'm like, whoops.
Well, some exciting things that happened was yesterday I got my hair done.
Oh, girl.
Got some
You
new
get your hair
products.
done a lot.
I know, girl. You gotta cover those roots.
I was like, I haven't even done it since the last time I did it.
I just like have this weird thing about like if any roots start to show, it's like, okay,
Then you
it's time.
call them.
I got new glasses.
Oh, yeah, but you're not wearing them today.
I know I should have. I'll post a picture on Instagram, but they weren't the ones that I ordered, and I was really mad. But then I was like, well, I may just keep them because it's really annoying to have to exchange.
I like how you're just like, okay, oh well.
As long as they're decent. I mean, do you think they're at least decent?
No, I think they're good. I just like feel sad for you that
I know.
that's not the ones you wanted.
I may take them back.
Yeah.
And then I got to see a 10,000 Buddha wall, which have you heard of the 10,000 Buddha project?
No.
So it's a woman, she's a yogi, and she goes around and paints murals of Buddhas, meditating Buddhas all around the country. And so she posts on Instagram and social media. She's really huge, and she does all of these really cool murals of Buddha meditating. And a studio in Seattle hired her to come paint one of their walls, and then I got to see it, and my mind was just like blown because I thought I was never going to actually be able to see one in person. And she travels all over the country and paints.
That was
these
our
murals.
Insta post.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's really awesome.
So that was my week. What about yours?
What did I do this week? Just productive, busy week at work. What have I been doing? I edited the podcast. I did a shoot for Collectible last weekend. So I did a shoot for them. I unfortunately, because of the hurricane, even though this is very minor compared to everyone else's issues, because of the hurricane, I wasn't able to go to a bachelorette party in South Texas. But
Where was it going to be at?
It was in San Antonio, and I just didn't know what gravity it was going to be. And, you know, it was pretty bad, but it didn't hit San Antonio as bad. I probably could have gone, which I feel horrible about, but I was really afraid, genuinely, because they were like Hurricane Katrina, blah blah blah, comparing it to that, which ended up being very similar. So I was terrified, but I was also supposed to drive an hour out to a tinier town outside of the city in like a rental car, and I didn't know if the storm was heading then,
Right.
and I heard all about predicted flooding, so I just thought it was too risky.
Yeah, you played it safe for sure. Did the other girls end up doing the bachelorette party, or did they push it back?
Yeah, I think they did, so
That's okay.
yeah.
Sometimes you have to just weigh the pros and cons, and in that case, you had no idea what it was going to be like.
Yeah, and it ended up being horrible.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know. Anyway, but no, the week was pretty good, and yeah, not too much.
Nice.
Yep. Okay, so I guess we'll go straight into pay gaps.
Let's talk about it.
Yay, we get paid less. Oh, I just realized my glasses are new too, but it doesn't have, like, it's supposed to have the anti-glare, but I'm like looking into the camera right now because we're also on YouTube. I'm looking into the camera right now and I like see a glare and I'm like, whatever. Okay, pay gaps. So I looked up some of this stuff from the Pew Research Organization, and they're like a fact-checking type organization, you know. And so this article was earlier this year, and it says that it's, let's see, I need to relook at the headline. It says like the pay gap is going down, but it was like compared to 1980. So obviously since 1980, geez, I hope it's going down since then. Yeah, the narrowing but persistent gender pay gap. So yeah, in 2015, this is a quote, women earned 83% of what men earned, according to research analysis. But for adults ages 25 to 34, the wage gap is smaller, which I guess is good. Women in this group earned 90 cents for every dollar in the same age group men earned. So I guess it's not as bad, but that's still bad. There shouldn't be any difference.
So we fit into that range. So we earn 96 cents for every one of their dollars. 90 cents. Ooh.
Yeah. Which I like, I'm going to get into what I think about all this, but so why does the gender gap, pay gap still persist? In a 2013 survey that the company did, they said women were more likely to say they took a break from their careers to take care of their family. And these type of interruptions can have an impact on long-term earnings. It's unfair that, like, there's got to be some sort of way that you can compromise, like, caring for the family in the workplace. I feel like our generation is more hard on the workplace in which jobs we select based upon how they treat their employees. So maybe this will all go down in the future. But, like, the fact that women have to take these breaks to be with their newborn infant, I mean, you have to do that, you know?
But dads should have to too.
That's what I'm going to get to. Yeah. So how can we, like, make that compromise?
Like, the company that I work for, one of the men that I work with, his wife just had a baby, and he had to take vacation to spend time with his daughter, his brand new daughter. And it's like, what about paternity leave?
Right. Exactly. But so what I was going to go into, but how can we equal this out? Like, we still need to be a mother while pursuing work. Do we work harder, or do we require the men to take the same amount of time if their significant other has a baby, or if they adopt a baby, if they're like...
I think that they should take the same amount of time.
Yeah, to equal it out. I don't know.
What do you think?
I think so too.
It's ridiculous that you have to take vacation days whenever you have a newborn infant.
Oh, yeah. There's no, like, I mean, maternity leave is horrific in America, but there's basically not a lot of anything for paternity even at all.
Right.
But at the same time, it should be equal, just so we have an equal chance at the pay. And then it should also be equal just to give the men some time to spend with their dang baby. You know, like, they're equally the parent.
Wasn't there recently in the news some really big companies that are offering paternity leave? I think so. Facebook and Google, maybe?
Probably Microsoft too. I might have to ask Erin about that. But okay, so some part of the pay gap may also be due to gender discrimination. In the 2013 survey, women were about twice as likely as men to say they have been discriminated against at their work because of their gender. Furthermore, men and women see inequalities in the workplace. 77% of women and 63% of men say this country needs to continue making changes to give men and women equality in the workplace. So that's like an update on where we're at in the status.
So I have a bit of a personal story about maintaining your career while also maintaining your child's lives at home. And so we obviously don't have any children, but I feel like that this is a very relevant topic. And I feel like it's often questioned, how does a woman do it? How does she have 2 kids at home and still maintain her career? And so something that happened at one of my previous jobs was we were asked to, as a team, okay, we need 3 people to come in on a Saturday and bust out a couple of hours. There was no extra pay. There was no extra anything. It was just do it for the good of the team type deal. And one of the ladies on my team, she was like raising her hand to volunteer for it. And one of the other women on her team looked at her and was like, you shouldn't volunteer. You have 2 kids at home. So then she put her hand down. And so then it came into this thing of like, no, she shouldn't have to come in on a Saturday because she does have 2 kids. But at the same time, why should I be punished and have to come in on Saturday just because I don't have 2 kids? Do you get what I'm saying?
I know, I get it. I see the differences and I see where you're coming from. But at the same time, like, I feel like, I don't know, I also kind of lean toward, like, it shouldn't be that someone else has to take the fall, but we should also be more cognizant of personal life and balancing. So it's like, it's hard for me to say whether that was right or wrong. You know, I feel like it was somewhere in between. You know, I feel like not everything is black and white.
No, for sure. Not everything is black and white. And then what ended up happening is I ended up volunteering because I don't have a family or kids or a husband. And then
you have a partner.
And then
poor Des.
And then
damn it, Des always gets the Ross end of the deal.
And then another male colleague volunteered who did have 2 kids at home, but he was the father. He wasn't the mother. So nobody told him, no, don't come. You have 2 kids at home. Don't come in on a Saturday.
That's not fair.
I know. And so it's just this really tricky thing of if somebody has to step in and come in early or come in on a Saturday, like where do you draw the line? And I think that the best solution would have been to offer something, offer a bonus, because then, you know, anybody could have volunteered and could have gotten a little bit of extra money, or I don't know, an extra vacation day. I don't know what it would be, but it would be to offer something. I didn't get anything for volunteering. I got a pat on my back saying good job. You know what I mean?
And your salary, obviously?
I'm salary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a bummer.
So isn't that a tough one though? Because I was like, in no way do I want her to have to come in on a Saturday morning. Yes, she has 2 kids, and yes, she should be with them as much as possible. But why do I have to take the fault because I don't? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a weird feminist issue because you want to like be pro motherhood.
Yes.
But you also want to like advocate for women who choose not to be a mother.
Yes. It's a really hard one.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I see both sides, I guess. Devil's advocate over here.
I fully see both sides too.
Yeah, bummer. Okay, so now I wanted to go into, are you good?
Mm-hmm.
Now I wanted to go into current legislation.
Okay.
So this is all from the Business Insider. I feel like I've seen articles from them before, and there were multiple articles out there, so this isn't the only place where this is saying this, but I felt like since it's Business Outsider or Insider, it's like maybe more down the middle, since like business is typically associated with conservatism. So I don't know. I was just trying to find something neutral because this is going to get political. So White House officials blocked an Obama era initiative to collect salary data sorted by employees' gender, race, and ethnicity. So it was going to be like out there and the government could collect it. White House officials, or let's see. So recently, the Trump administration just blocked it. This was set to change in 2018, so next year, requiring businesses to collect salary data. So yeah, but on Tuesday, however, White House officials say they would block the rule, calling it just burdensome for companies.
So the Obama administration was going to have to make this information public and have to gather it and spend a lot of money and time gathering this data for us. But then Trump's administration said, oh, we're not going to do it because it's too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I think don't get me wrong, I think it would be difficult, but I think it's needed.
Yeah, no, I think it is burdensome. I see where they're coming from. But then at the same time, how are we ever going to fix this? Like, it's like I was thinking, how do I fix this? How can I approach it? And it's not like you can walk up to HR and be like, how much does Joe Schmo make versus me?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, can you even do that? Or would you be fired?
I think they would not be allowed to tell you.
Oh, yeah. It's like, yeah.
And so that does bring up this really interesting point of I say that I haven't said this yet, but I would say 99% of my career, I have not felt discriminated against as a woman. Unlike you, I know that you have some crazy personal stories, but I don't have that many. I feel really confident in my job. I don't feel like I'm put down because I'm a woman, but at the same time, I don't see behind the scenes, and so I don't know how much I make compared to my peers that are male.
You could be discriminated against behind your back.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So, and I'm just going to state this stuff. I'm actually not going to make a comment. I'm just going to state it.
Okay.
So Ivanka Trump, who has been an outspoken supporter of women equality and spoke out during the campaign and post-election, has supported this decision that the White House just made.
Interesting. Do you want me to comment since you can't comment?
Go for it.
I mean, how in the world can you have both? How can you say that you're supportive of women's rights, and then how can you be supportive of not gathering this data to make it public and to make it clear what the pay gap is and what the distinction between a male and a woman in workplaces? How could you support both?
And then critics say the wage gap will persist if we fail to enact policies that promote equality.
I mean, I think that
I'll let
sounds
Megan
just
just take it
fact,
off
right?
from you.
Kenzie's just going to give me the facts and then make me say my opinion.
Which is, yeah.
I mean, to me, that sounds like a fact. To me, it sounds like unless we have the data and unless we have the numbers in front of us, unless we have the facts for all of the world to see, then I don't see how it's going to get better.
But like we said, devil's advocate, yeah, it's probably hell of a lot of more work.
And money.
Yeah, but at the same time, how are we going to ever fix this issue?
I don't see how we would be able to.
Okay. So I was just thinking, well, how do I fix it? Because I was thinking, like, I can't ask HR how much Joe Schmo makes. So I say, let's say a woman was hired the exact same role, the exact same time as a man was. How can we check the rates if they're the same? How can we be proactive in addressing the pay gap? Like, how do you know that you guys are paid any differently?
I don't know.
So you probably just can't ask. So I looked it up on the NWLC, and I think that's like National Women's Lawyer something. Let me see. Hold on. National Women's Law Center. So this is an article from there of what to do. So you can strengthen our equal pay laws so that women are better able to fight back against paid discrimination, build ladders to better paying jobs for women by removing any barriers to entry into male-dominated fields, let's say like engineering or what else? Engineering and
computer science. I don't know what else is a male-dominated industry. Accounting is 50-50. I do know that. It may be 60-40 female now.
I'm trying to think what other industries. Just science-based maybe? Or construction?
Construction, I think, would be a big one.
We're being the worst women's advocates right now. I don't know what else is out there. Okay, so lift up the wages of women in low-wage jobs by raising the minimum wage, increase the availability of high-quality, affordable childcare, provide...
Ooh, childcare is expensive. Did you know that?
No, I want kids, but it's going to be hella expensive.
Like, it is apparently more than some people's mortgages.
I mean, I can't have kids till I'm like mid-30s, I feel like, just to survive.
That's crazy. Some women quit their jobs because it would cost more to send a kid to childcare than they make.
Right.
So they would be losing money by having a job.
Mm-hmm. Another one is provide fair work schedules, paid family leave, and paid sick days, like we mentioned. Protect workers' ability to collectively bargain. But all of this, I was thinking, like, yeah, these are things we can do to fight. But all of this sounds hella hard to do.
Right.
Like, it's nothing that the individual can necessarily act upon, you know? And so I was thinking, I mean, literally, how do we go about that? That's what needs to be discussed. Like, yes, these are all great points. Like,
but how do we do
it?
But
like, we need a bigger article or bigger research or bigger self-awareness of how do we actually act upon that. And I guess my suggestion is contacting your legislator or legislative representative, like your senators or your state representatives, you know, and do research on what your state work laws are, so you know, like, what it is, you know.
Mm-hmm. I also thought of something. This is going back a couple of sentences, but in Canada, and I know this because my partner is from Canada, if you work for a certain, if you work for the state, well, they're called provinces. If you work for the province, then your salary is posted online. And so Amanda and Jeff, they both work for the province, and so you can see how much Amanda makes, and you can see how much Jeff makes by going to this website and typing in their name, and then you can see how much they make. I haven't done it because I'm not going to be a creeper.
But I think that's how it is for all federal position or for all government.
So if you work for the state of Washington, then your salary's out there?
I'm pretty sure. Well, I think it maybe depends on the state, because I was doing research on my own work thing, and I wanted to find a teacher for like a segment, and I could see how much all the teachers made.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Texas or Washington?
Washington. So I don't know.
Well, if your state doesn't have that, then it should.
Yeah, I feel like Washington is kind of liberal. So
except Amanda hates that it's out there. I'm like, don't worry, girl. I don't look.
Think about it. I want her to like think about it now that like in America we wish it was posted.
Yeah. I mean, okay, put myself in her shoes. Would I care if people knew how much I make? I guess, because I'm not going around telling everybody, hey guys, guess what? I make this much.
I would not care.
You wouldn't care?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just don't care about that stuff. I don't care what other people make, and I don't care what whether people know how much I make.
That's strong of you. That's good.
Well, I'm like so proud because I basically doubled my wage this year. So it might not be like a ton, but it's like I'm like middle America right now. So I'm like
nice.
Not really. It's very average.
Okay, so I didn't do too much research on the pay gap, but I did do a lot of research on getting promotions and other things that we may not even consider to be sexism in the workplace. So the first thing that I found was Sexism in the Workplace by Nathan Baume at USA Today. And he states that the workplace has nearly equal number of women and men at an entry level, but a widening gap as workers get promotions. So at entry level positions, 54% are men and 46% are women. At the manager level, 63% men, 37% women. At the vice president level, 71% are men and 29% are women. And the C-suite, which would include people such as the CFO, the chief operating officer, 81% are men and 19% are women.
I'm sure this has to do with maternity issues.
Yeah, or pausing your career to take some time to be
exactly.
with kids. Yeah. So the study producing this data examined human resource data from 132 companies employing more than 4.6 million people and included a survey of 34,000 employees. So this is hitting a lot of people. 4.6 million people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that is.
So I wanted to see how the company that I worked for compared to their statistics. And so I looked at our C-suite, which would be our senior management team, including the president, and we have 5 men and 3 women, or 62% men and 38% women.
That's very progressive of them.
Not as bad as the average statistic.
No, good for them.
Yeah. So I was just shocked that the gap was that big.
I feel like Washington State just does better for women's rights.
Yeah, that's true. So Kenzie, did you think about wanting to be like super high up, or did you ever want to be like the C-suite level, or did you ever think like that when you were a kid?
I always want to be a leader. I feel like I always have that desire to lead, but I don't think I feel like my dreams have like kind of shifted and changed. And so like my goals aren't necessarily to be like CEO of a business, but my goals are to like always like expand my realm of like the video world and always be creative and always pursue it and always be different and like make my personal brand even bigger and make this podcast successful. I think those are my goals. So I guess we would kind of be CEOs of our own podcast, but like, yeah. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that whenever I was younger, I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rise up to the top and I'm going to be the highest person ever. And then now that I'm 5 years into my career, I just realized that your career isn't everything.
It's not everything. It's like a weird compromise. I don't know. But I do have the desire to always work. I think I would be bored.
I would be bored out of my freaking mind if I didn't work. I for sure always want to work. I for sure always want to be challenged, because days at work when you're not challenged, bored out of my mind. So I always want to be challenged. I always want to be pushing myself. I always want to be the best person possible. But at the same time, I'm realizing that there's more to life than, in my case, sitting behind a computer.
I guess my dream before this was like to be an anchor of a significant community, like a large metropolitan area. Not all communities are significant, but you know what I mean.
Just with a large population.
Yeah. That was my dream. So it wasn't like CEO.
Yeah.
But now that I kind of like want to do my own podcast and do my own work and possibly do my own video work, like it might just be morphing into like
Being super creative.
Yeah, in the best possible way. It's not that I don't want to be a leader. Maybe I'll be a leader in my own company one day. Like, it's just like, I don't know. But I'm not limiting myself either. I don't know.
Yep. So then some other key findings from this survey was that they wanted to indicate a few key reasons women aren't advancing as quickly as men.
Okay.
So the first one is women are more likely to be ignored at meetings. 74% of men are able to participate meaningfully in meetings compared to 67% of women. So sometimes I think about this and...
What does that mean?
So
that's vague.
It is very vague. Do you go have meetings like every day?
Yeah, I do at my current work. I used to not.
And do you feel do you feel like you're an active participant in these meetings?
Well, I'm new.
Yeah, that's true.
But I was in my other one. I don't know.
So the company that I currently work for, I think, has far too many meetings than necessary. And I think they include way too many meetings. They include way too many people in meetings that don't really matter. And actually, we merged with a company, and people who were from the other company that we merged with, they're like, you guys have way too many meetings. You guys need to cut this out. 75% of my day is in meetings, where before we merged, like 10% of their day was in meetings or something. And so there are meetings when I contribute 0 because I have nothing to give, and I have nothing to give about the topic, but I was just randomly invited to a meeting. And some meetings, if I'm a key influencer of the topic, or if I'm a key contributor to the topic, then yeah, I feel like my voice can be heard in meetings. So I think it depends.
I make a point if I can. Like, I don't make it irrelevant. I make it a point if I'm able to contribute to be a part of a meeting, though.
Yep.
But we actually do have a lot of meetings because we're like kind of startup-y. So we're still refining everything.
So you guys just need to talk everything out.
Yeah, all the time. All the processes.
So I am not at a startup, and we still have a ton of meetings. The next reason is women are less likely to get challenging assignments. 68% of men have taken on the toughest tasks compared to 62% of women. And for this, I think that I put myself out there and I say that I want to be challenged and I want to take on projects. And so I think I have been given opportunities to take on challenging assignments. What about you?
Yeah, I don't feel that's necessarily true. Maybe at old positions, but not at this one, no.
Women are less likely to be consulted for input on important decisions, with 63% of men being asked to share their thoughts compared to 56% of women. I don't know if I'm asked to share my thoughts. I think that the level that I'm at, my opinion doesn't matter too much.
They're like, we don't care.
Yeah, if I was a man or female.
But are other women in your workplace who are at that role?
Yeah, like the chief accounting officer of my company is a woman, and my manager is a woman.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that they're doing a good job. So I also found The Hidden Sexism in Workplace Language by Mark Peters at BBC. So these are the ones that sometimes I wouldn't even have considered and may not even know. So this study found that in performance reviews, women tend to receive feedback that is vague, like, you did great, while men get clear feedback about their specific skills related to their actual job performance. And this one we wouldn't know. I feel like my feedback is generally pretty standard, or it's not specific. It is like, you did a really good job, you're dedicated, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if I have specific examples.
I know that my last boss, Gwen, I've talked about her like on the first podcast, but my last job, Gwen, she was like the assistant news director, and then I had a news director who was male, and then I had Gwen who was female, and she was the assistant, and it was like part of her role to do the evaluations. So I feel like she didn't discriminate because she is a woman.
Yeah.
So I got very thorough feedback from her.
Nice.
In this job, yeah, I'd say so. I don't think my boss is a male, but I don't think he doesn't think like that. I really clearly don't get that vibe. So
good. This one I am guilty of, using guy or guys in emails. So even if you're addressing a group of men and women.
Is that bad? I like that term. I like hey guys.
I know. I say hey guys all the time if I'm addressing women too.
Is that necessarily bad? Or just the meaning of the word has changed?
Maybe the meaning of the word has changed, but this article suggests that a safer word may be folks. Folks?
Oh, I hate that word.
I can't say it. But
Just
Barack
sounds
Obama,
like I'm like 80 years old.
yeah, Barack Obama apparently was known as saying that.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. And so then maybe we would want to say, hey, folks. I have a hard time saying it.
I don't feel like it's... I don't care if someone says, hey, guys, what's up? And I'm in the group.
It's kind of a term that is used interchangeably now.
Because it's a group.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I do have an example from my previous job.
Ooh, do tell.
So whenever I had a coworker who was my level, and whenever our boss would thank him for doing something, and our boss was a man, he would say, thanks, man, to the guy. And to me, he would just be like, thanks. And I get that you can't say thanks, woman. I get that. Like, there's not an equivalent word. But at the same time, whenever somebody's like, thanks, man, it's like, oh, you feel buddy-buddy. You feel like you're comrades. And then whenever you just tell me thanks, it's like there's not the same level of camaraderie or...
Thanks, girl. What if you did that? Thanks, girl.
And I get that you can't find a replacement word, but then don't say it for the man then. Just tell him thanks too.
Yeah. I bet he doesn't even see it. You know?
Do you feel like I'm being too picky in that circumstance?
I think your opinion's your opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the other thing that this article brings up is using words such as hostess, waitress, and stewardess. And people are really trying to get away from using those words because they are typically, only female. But a male can be a hoster.
Hostess. Isn't he a hostess still?
Is a man still a hostess?
Oh, God, I don't know. A host.
A host. We should just say person at the front desk.
What's wrong with that?
I guess hostess, whenever there's an ES at the end, it's a female.
Okay.
Whenever there's an ESS at the end of a word, it means female. And so the fact that we have a hostess, you would think that it would be a female, but a man can do the job. Men are hostess.
I guess so, but then my counter argument, for some reason, I'm a little devil's advocate today, so I apologize. But like the whole Spanish language is based like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So why is that necessarily?
I don't know. Maybe because there's not an equivalent word.
I'm genuinely asking. Like, I'm not trying to be like...
No, I know. I guess it would be like if there was a man version of the word hostess, then I guess we could use the man word if it was a man and hostess if it's a woman. But what is the equivalent of hostess? Hoster.
Who the heck knows? But yeah, we should be considerate and thoughtful of these differences.
Yep. And then I also found this book that I kind of want to read. It's called The Feminist Fight Club by Jessica Bennett.
Cool.
And so it's all about what we can do to eliminate sexism in the workplace and things that you and I can do to combat sexism in the workplace.
Okay.
And so here are some key tips that she gave in an interview with Monster. The first one, if you're being man-interrupted, you can have somebody at your side to interrupt the interrupter.
You know what's a word that I actually do like when men are like talking down to women, but I think it's a funny word, mansplained.
Mansplained.
You're mansplaining it.
But
poor Aaron gets that like every 3 seconds from Chels. Well, not poor Aaron. Sometimes he does do it.
Aaron is a mansplainer for sure.
But he's becoming better about women's rights and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. I think he does it to men and women.
He just mansplains everything.
Yeah, kind of, right?
He might be listening right now. I guess.
He's just really smart and he has all the knowledge, so he wants to share the knowledge.
But he explains it. It's like, this is how it is.
So, Kenzie, have you been man-interrupted?
Probably.
I probably don't even notice it.
Yeah.
But
I more notice sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because that's blatantly obvious. We should be on the lookout to see if we get manterrupted and see if it's maybe more
Can you
common.
redefine that one more time?
A manterruption would be when you're trying to explain a point, and then a fellow coworker who is a man would be like, oh, wait, no, and then re-say what you were about to say anyway. He just feels like he needs to mansplain it by interrupting you.
I don't think so.
So Jessica says that if you are being interrupted, making it clear to a coworker that you are being interrupted, so then they can interrupt the interrupter.
Wow.
The next one is if you're feeling like an imposter, like you don't belong, or like you don't deserve a promotion, you can do breathing exercises and envision success. So that's another really big thing about women is it's kind of becoming as if you may not feel like you deserve a promotion, whereas typically men would never feel like they don't deserve a promotion.
I found, and I've recently gotten a little back into yoga and a little back into like being more spiritual about like my body and stuff, even though I'm not very in shape right now. But like I had, and this is just relating to the this fact of taking like deep breaths. It really does help sometimes.
Deep breaths help a lot.
Like I told you, I had a panic attack a few weeks ago and I literally hyperventilated, and then the next day my lungs hurt, and I think I like bruised my lungs from like hyperventilating so bad, you know, like they were inflamed or something like that. And I thought it was like a heart thing, but like now I'm like taking calm breaths and try not to feel like that, because I carry my stress in my chest like really intensely, or in my back, like just my upper torso is where I carry my stress. So I just like really deep breaths, concentrating on filling your stomach with air rather than with your chest. Oh yeah, they talk about that. And there's belly like breaths. A specific breath to yoga.
Ujjayi.
Yeah. How do you spell that?
It's a hard one. Ujjayi. Just Google something like
Can
that.
Can you pronounce it one more time?
Ujjayi.
Ujjayi? Okay.
Ujjayi breath.
Yeah, apparently I'm not very good at doing it while I'm doing the positions, because I'm really trying to think about how well I'm doing the positions. But then the lady's like, that's more important than your positions. And
it is. I was just about to say that.
And then she was like, no, but do the position. So I'm like, which one should I be doing?
You should be doing the breath. I think you should be doing the breath. Both are important, but yoga is all about the breath. Okay, so Jessica also says that manterruptions really do happen. It's scientifically proven. Women are interrupted at twice the rate of men. Jessica Bennett considers these stats to be battle weapons.
I've been interrupted by my partners a lot like that.
I don't know if Des interrupts me. Probably.
I know I interrupt people, so.
Oh, I gotta tell you a funny story.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, oh girl, you're the worst.
So
I'm like, I probably deserve that.
Yesterday, I was doing this research for the podcast, and I was asking Des for his opinions and to see if he had any stories. And he was like, you should probably get other examples besides your relationship. And I go, do you think I talk about you too much on the podcast or something? And he was like, maybe.
He does.
He said no, I don't think you talk about me too much. But I was like, I do talk about you quite a bit. And I tend to talk about you in a really positive light.
You just love him.
I love him, but I feel like I do talk about him in a really positive light because he is a really positive person in my life. But you guys, he's not perfect in every way.
He's just a little Des Angel.
He is not perfect, though.
Des Angel.
Sometimes he makes mistakes.
Our little Des Angel.
So he won't let me talk about him anymore, so I can't give you any of the examples that he told me.
But didn't he just say he didn't care? Oh, Binks just jumped on the table.
Speaking of manterrupting.
Speaking of, here's a perfect example. Come here, son. Do not be in front of... Oh. Now his butt is directly at the camera.
Go check out our YouTube.
Go check out our YouTube, and you can check out my cat's butt cheeks.
Okay, Jessica's biggest piece of advice for young women entering the workplace is to form a feminist fight club. Having a group of men and women who are going to be your army in this battle is going to help immensely. Feminism doesn't have to be so serious. It can be funny. And that's what she wants you to come away with.
Hey, I think we do a good job.
Hopefully.
No.
Okay, now that was advice for women in the workplace, which I thought was beneficial.
Yes.
Then I also found a gentleman's guide to combating
now Binks'
sexism.
ass is in your face. Oh, and now he's just rolling around on the table. Can you not?
So this one is a gentleman's guide to combating sexism in the workplace by Laura Tamman at U.S. News and World Report. Do tell the women in your life to run for office or to go for that promotion and explain to them how you will help them succeed.
I like it.
Don't ask women where their children are or who is taking care of them. Laura Tamman says that every single time that she has to travel for work, she gets asked who is taking care of her children. She says, do folks fear that I left my 4-year-old twins and 6-year-old at home alone? No. They worry about my children and they want to be reassured that they are cared for, which is sweet, until you consider the fact that they've never, ever asked my husband the same question.
It's true, I bet.
Don't ask women how they balance work and family. And my counterpoint to this would be, you can ask a woman how she balances work and family, but also ask a man how he balances work and family.
Well, I might ask a woman that because I want to have a family, so I just need advice.
Well, you're a woman, so you can, but men can't.
Oh. Okay.
That's what Laura says. I don't know. I think I kind of disagree with it. I think that men should ask everybody, how do you do it? How do you balance your work life with your children? You know, my boss has 2 kids at home and he's a man. I want to know how he does it.
There you go.
Men should be as equally involved in raising the children as women should.
Oh, my son is really just hamming it up over here. Are you the center of all attention about the world?
Another thing is to use the word parent rather than mom to avoid gender bias. I don't know. That one for me is getting a little too picky.
That's picky. I don't know. That's picky. It's just mom and dad are equals.
Yeah.
They're just, yeah. I don't feel weird about that.
Okay. Laura, we liked most of them except for that one.
Okay. I have a few
Okay.
to wrap up. This is just things I thought of. I feel like men speak more gently to women. Do you feel like that?
I think that there's a more sense of speaking gently versus a sense of between a man and a man. It's more like buddy, comrades, rather than like...
So both kind of
Yeah.
in different ways.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have heard men do the following. They shake my hand more softly. They speak more sweetly in a completely different tone. They explain things more slowly. I've seen where they don't expect as much of men, actually, or fear to approach them more. Like the bro code sort of a thing. So they're like fine to tell me what to do. But when it's another dude who's my equal, they never say anything.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I've had that happen. None of these are my current job. I'm very new, so none of this is my current job. Examples. I'd like to preface that.
She'd like to preface that.
Preface. I hate that word now. Like only call the women of the group. And so let's say there's a group and calling like the woman of the group into doing more work and nagging her instead of also calling the other guy and addressing him for his own errors. So it's like this is a specific incident I'm talking about. In a previous job, there was like a man in a group of women and the boss was a male and he chose the women to tell the critique to and would never call the man.
Oh, really?
But it was like basically he was screwing, the man was the one screwing all of this up.
Oh.
And so he was more likely to tell women what they were doing wrong and just bro out with the guy.
Bro out in the corner. Go bro out in the corner.
Yeah. Binks is like stretching and doing yoga positions right now.
He is me interrupting this podcast like I've never seen before in my life.
He's like, no, this isn't about women's rights. It's about Binks' rights. Okay. Harassment. So, and then I'm going to go into stories, but harassment I've seen is, and this is just general harassment too. It's commenting on looks, calling someone a nag, or a bitch behind their back as a boss, touching, not like literal rape or something like that, but like something subtle, more subtle is more common. I feel like massaging, lingering touches like on the arm.
I think that I don't like whenever they touch your shoulder. Like you're like, hey, how are you?
But it's like, hey.
And it's like, would you touch a man's shoulder like that?
I don't touch people at work.
I do not touch people at work.
I maybe at my other one just because we were all like BFF, but it wasn't like creepy touches. It was just like, I don't know. Goofy.
But have you ever gotten that where they'll be like, how are you today?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm good, thank you, but would you not touch my shoulder?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's weird. Or just looking at someone for too long. And the thing that you can do to change this is report it all to HR, I guess.
Yep.
So now I guess we can go into my stories as well. Here we go.
Oh, Kenzie's got a list.
Okay, so this was just my friend's story from recently. I like went out to happy hour with some of my friends, and she said that we were just talking about dating life and like the modern dating, and she was like, a friend of hers went on a date and he said he hates managing and working with women and men are just easier. He said that on the first date with a woman.
Oh my God. Did she walk away right then and there?
She just treated it like an experiment. She knew right then and there that it was over, but she was just like asking him more questions just to like experiment on him after that.
That is crazy that somebody would say that.
Yeah. So this isn't at my current job, but at a previous undisclosed place of employment. I remember I was wearing a red dress, like it was from Banana Republic. Not that it matters, but it wasn't scandalous. It was work professional. And I got a comment, and I was in a long distance relationship. I got a comment that was like, oh, are you just wearing that dress because your boyfriend is in town?
Not okay.
And I was just like, he wasn't in town. I just love my dress.
And would that person have said that if you would have been a man? Like, would they have been like, oh, that's a nice suit. Are you wearing it because your girlfriend's in town?
I think they said something also more extreme, and I'm not like exaggerating it. And I think he knew that I called him out later. Like, I think he knew that I told this story later. So I think he was like a little bit pissed at me, and I haven't spoken to him since. But he like said something like, oh, I was like walking past a room, and I think I heard him say like, oh, is she dressed more slutty for like some reason? And then he asked me that same question later.
Oh my gosh.
And I wasn't wearing something slutty. It just was like a dress.
A red dress.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not fair in any way. So I've had men commenting on my outfit and just looking me up and down. I'm fine with like a genuine compliment. Like I'm fine with that. I'm not saying like compliments are always the worst, but it's all in the way you approach it. But I'm also at work, like.
Right. Nobody's ever complimented me at work.
Well, good.
About how I look.
Good. I've had it like almost all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you have way more examples than I do.
Maybe your field is just more respectful.
Maybe I'm making...
Not my current job again.
Maybe I'm making 10 cents to my counterpart's dollars, and that's where I'm making screwed.
So I have more examples. I've had one example where I've gotten it. So like I used to work with like other male photogs, and I got into like a legitimate argument with a man in a car. And he like overreacted, and he was like yelling at me, like mansplaining, but yelling. And I like to the point where I started crying. I'm a crier, but at the point where I started crying, and I was like afraid of him physically, and I was alone with him in like a car.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you tell HR?
I told my boss, and he was just like, apologize. And the guy never apologized.
Did you have to work with him again?
Yeah. All the time.
Was the fight about work?
Yeah.
About what y'all should do?
Yeah.
Did y'all do it his way or your way?
I'm not going to disclose any other details.
Okay.
But anyway, previous job. So now I'm going to go into, so I was a journalist before this job, and these are all examples of when I was out in the field working like on a story. So these men aren't my coworkers, but sources or contacts would do the following. Well, I had a few men do this, like follow me on social media and then comment about like posts of like a profile picture or something like that and comment to me about them in person.
That's weird.
I just comment on my looks in general for that day, like look me up and down and comment on my outfit. I've also had a few men in a role of power do these things. One man in particular was bad, and he was like in a very serious role of power. He would tuck my hair behind my ear.
That is so disgusting.
Like, I remember I was doing a story about an animal shelter, and he was like this.
What did you do?
I just like kind of stepped back, and like my photographer's face was like,
were y'all on camera when you did it?
No.
Oh, you were about to be?
But we should have like kept catching it. But I had like this thing, like one of my friends, Brandon, like one of my old photographers, he would always be like, every time we go out on a story, creepy old dudes hit on you. It's like you got a creepy old dude vibe about you, where creepy old dudes just take it upon their will to like harass you. And I was like, thank you. I thought it was all in my head. He's like, no, it's creepy as hell.
That's so weird.
And it happened all the time.
And was he married?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, poor girl that married him.
There's a whole nother story to that I will tell you off camera.
Oh, shit.
And he would touch my shoulder and just be creepy in general.
The same one that tucked your hair. Tucking the hair behind the ear, like, come on. Who does that?
But why? What warrants you to do that?
Nothing.
I don't give a shit if my hair's out of place. Like, please don't touch me.
Right.
Anyway, I had another man who worked for like an attorney office, like, you know, like a government attorney office, in one of the counties I covered. And he got my number because I got his number because I wanted to like ask him questions about things about the case. It was like a long-term trial I was covering. And I wanted to like text him about a case, and he was a legitimate source to text him about. And he started at night just texting me inappropriate things every night of the trial.
What did you do?
I don't know. I just like didn't say anything.
Like,
because I wanted him to still tell me stuff, but I never responded or engaged.
Was he married?
I have no idea.
How old was he?
Oh, like could be my dad. Yeah.
On a scale of PG to R, what were the texts rated?
PG-13. He was creepy. Let's see. But sometimes my photographers have heard. Oftentimes men would do it when they were distracted. When
your photographer was distracted and
yeah.
not watching? So then they know what they're doing isn't PC.
Right. Yeah, and so like I have had my photogs stop them from doing it though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're mostly male and they were really great to me. I really love them. But anyway,
were your female coworkers, like, so people that were in your same position, also experiencing this?
I think yeah, sometimes. And I have had men hit on me just flat out, but they're like more of like the ignorant sources where it's just man on the street where they're like, okay, great. Can we go out later? Or I've just had them ask me out on a date. And all of these are like inappropriate because I'm doing the same job and just as a man would. And I just want to report on the truth for the community. I am not in the business of doing all of these things. I know I'm on, like, that's what I didn't like about the spotlight role of the television aspect, because they just felt more free to hit on you because, like, it was like a vanity thing, you know? And it's just, like, not okay.
Did your photographer ever catch somebody hitting on you and it was recorded on film?
I mean, I've had, like, street harassment, you know, like, grab her by the pussy and, like...
Like yelling behind you as you were reporting on something?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah.
Did your photographer bleep it out?
Well, it was one of them was live.
One of them was live, and he said, "Grab her by the pussy."
Mm-hmm.
So then, pussy was on the 9 o'clock news.
Well, it just cut off like at the anchor part. So like the anchor was like, "Thank you, Kenzie." And I like called my producer right after it, and I was like, "Was that on air?" And she's like, "What was on air?" I was like, "Grab her by the pussy," and she was like, "Let me look," because she thought it was funny. So yeah, I was sexually harassed a lot, and I think it was just because the workplace was like at a specific job, and one place was like more like being sexually harassed by sources. I don't know.
I have not had nearly what happened to you happen to me.
But I'm more in that position. You're more exposed to stuff.
Yeah, in my position, I've always worked in very professional environments. Like I said, who knows? I could be making a penny for every one of their dollars. On Kenzie's YouTube channel, there's like this whole montage to like what you used your
my resume
reel. Yes,
I was like, what do you mean?
Much.
Aw, thank you.
Whenever I found it, it'd be like, "This is Kenzie Meekbeck with KXAN News 7. I'm here tonight to talk about."
I wish I worked for KXAN. No.
I just thought of the first letters that I remember from Austin.
I was like, I think I've applied to that station. Yeah. So what I try to improve about myself, and none of that was my current role, and I'm not going to disclose, those were at multiple different roles. So I don't want to say like where that was at, but, so how can we improve ourselves in the workplace? And these are just 2 random tips I thought of. I'm trying not to say just anymore. Like, I'm just reaching out to let you know.
Oh.
I'll say that all the time to make myself seem more soft.
Mm-hmm. It does make you seem softer to just, rather than being like, I'm reaching out to.
Just say what you're meaning
to
say. Just say it. Why do we have to be softer? Just say it.
Right.
Thanks. Can you not stretch in the middle of the camp? Okay, leave. Oh, now he's doing downward facing dog. Get out. Okay, he left. Or just apologizing too much, which I do naturally in life. So
I apologize quite a bit too at work.
Okay. Any other examples you can think of from your jobs?
No, I just don't like it. If you're thanking somebody, don't act like you're buddy.
Yeah.
Act like you're buddy with the man and the woman.
Don't comment on my red banana public dress, okay? I'm wearing it for me. I dress up for me. Okay.
Thank you. That's all. We've solved sexism in the workplace. Bye.
We're done.
Just kidding.
That's it. It's solved. Great job, Megan. Okay, so what's your good thing?
My good thing. Oh, girl, I have not thought of my good.
We have to think of 2.
My good thing is that I don't have to go to work tomorrow because it's Labor Day.
How about that's mine too?
Okay, that's yours too.
That's mine too. It's like 2 Saturdays and we're just having fun today. We can just, no worries. Bah.
So our quote is from Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Rodham. What's her maiden name?
Clinton.
Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, I know we still have not shattered the highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now. And to all the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams.
Snaps to that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Peaceful Truth. Make sure to follow us and like us because the lovely Megan Hohertz runs these pages.
Oh, yeah.
Can you describe what all they should follow and like and subscribe?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. That's all.
Okay. That's all you have to do, you guys. Just follow us on 5 different platforms and rate us, please, God. Okay. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.